The world's largest retail event is underway in China, the 2023 11/11 Shopping Festival, also known as Singles Day. To discuss what's happening, we're here with China retail expert Ashley Dudarenok, and to explain the tech that really makes that magic happen on this digital event, I'm leaning on Alibaba Cloud's Luica Mac. Turning first to you, Ashley, are Chinese consumers in a mood to shop?
Well, 2023 is not an easy year, and there's been economic challenges, very slow post-COVID recovery, there are structural slowdowns in China, and quite frankly, the consumer sentiment has suffered post-COVID. But this being said, we are seeing that 11/11 is still a very important day for Chinese shoppers. And in fact, there's been a couple of interesting surveys, and I'm going to bring you some data as well.
Please.
Bain and Alex Partners, they have ran pre-11/11 surveys with 2,000 to 3,000 Chinese consumers. And here's what they're saying. 77% of respondents plan to spend either the same amount or a bit less than they did in 2022, which leaves us with 23% of people planning to spend more. And when it comes to spending amount, the ticket, 62% of people say that they're going to spend more than 3,000 RMB, which is 11% up from last year. When it comes to what are people looking for deals. Today in 2023, they want a good deal.
I know Alibaba has been really leaning into that trend, and there's over 80 million products on the platform right now that are at their lowest price point for the year. So we're on it. Live streaming e-commerce is on fire right now. Can you tell us, why is that? What do consumers like about it?
Well, I would separate live streaming and shoptainment. Live streaming itself is actually becoming less important reason for consumers to buy. If, let's say, in 2021 or even in 2022, many consumers said that the reason why I chose this product was because I saw it being live streamed. So it's a little bit like back in the day when you were a foreign brand and you came to China and people bought New Zealand vitamins just because they were from New Zealand. That was enough. It's no longer enough. The same with live streaming. Today, just live streaming is actually based on, again, latest survey, is below 48%. So what do consumers actually prioritize? They prioritize the quality of the product, the functionality, and the brand.
And just for our viewers, we are well beyond that sort of 1980s daytime TV shopping. This is real-time, interactive, KOL-driven consumerism, isn't it?
It is. Everything is live.
Yeah.
Everything is live, and the cool thing is, with live streaming, the viewer is not passive. The viewer is active, because it's a two-way thing, and beyond that, the viewer has a community. Well, very often, I and you can be live streaming, and suddenly another person comes in and starts a group and starts, sharing their thoughts about what we're talking about. They have their own conversation. They have their own community. They can take
point back to that point that they have to be supported. These content creators. I mean, this is a really fast-moving Chinese e-commerce landscape. What can they rely on? What tools?
Yep. So I think in this year, we can't get away without mentioning generative AI, right? It's definitely one of the hottest buzzwords that has gone way beyond the technology world and into the general conversations, right? So this year, since April, Alibaba Cloud has launched a series of generative AI applications that's powered by its own large language models. And what do? These kind of applications are really here to help create more interactive content, more creative content, and more importantly, to support the consumer experience, to make it more engaging. So part of the first series of our large language models is called 通义亲问, which is already embedded into Taobao, our e-commerce platform. You were talking a lot about live streaming, etc. So before you even get to the live streaming, a lot of consumers are using the platform to do search. In the old times, search can be a tricky thing. You don't know what you're looking for. But with this AI language models, actually the technology can help you narrow down your search by prompting you to ask the right questions. When you search, what kind of questions should you be asking, and what kind of recommendation are you looking for based on the same large language models. We also have another AI assistant called Taobao Wenwen. But of course, with all these tags and descriptions, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Always.
Right? So we already talked about your video, your short clips, etc. It really helps with the interactions. So we also have some AI-powered virtual character generation tool. Actually help merchants to create more interesting product shots and images. If you're a merchant, you can take out your product shot from any background and use the tool to create like a virtual character to help you present product in a very engaging way, and more importantly, it in no time and no extra resources needed again. So it's very handy, making the part of this image generation more fun. Back on the video content, right? So it might be tricky for all merchants to create their own live streamed characters, etc. So we have another AI tool called digital avatar creation. Again, based on a lot of the AI technologies, you can actually sit in front of your camera, speak into the camera for 3 minutes, and automatically it can help you generate your avatar.
For myself, I've got to say that I've been using GenAI a lot more this year. At the moment, it's kind of a helpful assistant to me. Are merchants actually using these tools? What's the uptake been like?
On average, they're using this to ask about 8 questions per day. So they're really using it, digging into more details about the product. They can also create a presenter. And according to our data, again, we have seen the click-through rate of the presented product using Avatar Presenter can be up to 30%. It's a huge jump of increase, right? And in particular, they seem to work well for short promotional videos in home appliances and also daily necessities. And the best part of it is it doesn't have to be expensive.
Turning back to you, Ashley, bearing in mind that cautious mood that you talked about earlier, consumers are being a bit more prudent, but we have seen some categories booming.
Absolutely. When it comes to, let's say, pets, within the first 48 minutes pre-sales in this category, we saw the same amount as basically the whole first day last year. So 48 minutes versus last year, the whole day. There were 6 pet brands on the platform that topped 10 million RMB each in pre-sales transaction value. What's trending right now, as I said, in particular, for example, this companion robots, let's say for cats, which is a very interesting case. A brand called Little O Cat Butler is the new Ferrari. Like, honestly, every pet owner or cat owner right now wants to afford one if they can, for their pet to entertain them when they are not at home. So this category is for sure booming.
We're coming to the end of our chat now. Can you tell me, how would you sum up what you see on the Chinese retail landscape right now?
Chinese retail is going to recover. It is going to take some time, but it is going to recover. We as platforms or merchants and brands, we just need to work harder to convince them why us and why now. And to do that, we need to entertain, educate, delight, and sell all at the same time.
Thank you. Luica, I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to ask you to gaze into that crystal ball and tell us, how is GenAI going to shape the future of retail?
Yep. I actually agree with Ashley that a lot of the merchants are working harder, right? So how are we going to help them with that? So there's no argument, I think, that generative AI has helped a lot of e-commerce merchants to do things more efficiently, to simplify a lot of process. But in addition to working harder, we're also helping them to work smarter. And in addition, I think one example is quite interesting. One of the biggest food and snack brands in China, they have been using one of our latest Tongyi series called Tongyi Xingchen, which is character creation and AI chatbot models. And with that, the character can react and behave in a more human-like sense, and they can interact with the consumer better. And again, with the personalized items and personalized response, we are more comfortable. We feel like we are more engaging with the whatever platform we're using. And to that, that's why I'm very confident that generative AI really is going to help create this win-win situation that's better for the consumer, and also things will be easier and smarter for the e-commerce merchants as well.
So yeah, if I've understood you correctly, prudent consumers in China don't necessarily mean that it's going to really hurt the merchant's bottom line. They just have to harness that technology and the tools that you've been talking about to be more efficient going forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, ladies, I think we've covered so much ground here today, from GenAI pet gear to the future of retail. So I'm going to call it a wrap. Thank you so much for your insights, Ashley and Luica.